feel tensions rising, I hear voices in my head. They counsel me, they understand. They talk to me, they talk to me. They tell me things that I will do. They show me things I'll do to you. They talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. They talk to me, talk to me, talk to me.
What's up, you YouTubers? It's Harpie89 coming at you from the Duelist Den, and the voices in my head have told me it's time for you guys to see the deck that my namesake is from. So, as you all know, Harpies are my favorite archetype, and I love updating my Harpies to match the current meta and to make them playable again against pretty much any deck in the meta. So, let's go ahead and get started with my Harpie Pendulum deck. So, starting off our lineup, we of course have your 3 Harpie Dancers. Now, your Dancers lets you target a wind monster you control, return it to the hand, and then normal summon a wind monster in addition to your normal summoner set. Now, like all of the Harpie winged beasts, they are treated as Harpie Lady whether on the field or in the graveyard. Next up, we have Harpie Lady 1. Now, whereas most of the Harpies are treated as Harpie Lady while on the field or in the graveyard, Harpie Lady 1 is also treated as Harpie Lady while in the deck. So it is searchable with Elegant Egotist as well. Next up, we've got your 3 Channelers. Channeler lets you discard a Harpie card from your hand, special summon a Harpie card to the field in defense. In addition, if you control a Dragon-type monster, Channeler's level gets bumped up to 7. So it's real easy to go into rank 7 plays with Channeler. Then we've got your 3 Harpie Harpists. Now Harpie Harpist, when it's normal summon, lets you bounce a wind monster you control to your hand, and then a monster your opponent controls to their hand as well. In addition to that, during the end phase of the turn this card is sent to the graveyard, you can search out a Harpie with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand. Right, well, technically it's a level 4 winged beast type, but in this deck, it's a Harpie. Then, of course, you got your 3 Queens. Discard Queen to the graveyard to add a Harpie's Hunting Ground from your deck to your hand. So it's a pretty simple effect. Plus a 1900 beater for a level 4 is pretty good. Next up, you run your 2 Harpie's Pet Dragons. Now, Harpie's Pet Dragon gains 300 attack and defense for each Harpie Lady on the field, so it's real easy to get this up to a nice old beat stick. Now for the Pendulum engine, we of course have the Searchers, which are Wisdom Eye Magician and Skulker Bat Magician. Then we also have the standard Dragon Pulse Magician and Dragon Pit Magician. So it's pretty standard. Then you can't have those without having your Oath Dragon Magicians. And no Pendulum deck will be complete without your Magispector Unicorn. Now, just in case you need another Searcher, you also run 2 copies of Odd Eye's Pendulum Dragon. Now, Pendulum Dragon also works really well because it is a Dragon type. So if you got Channeler and Pendulum Dragon on the field, you can go into your rank 7 plays that way as well. That way you don't have to waste your Harpie's Pet Dragons. For spells, we've got your Elegant Egotist, which lets you special summon a Harpie as long as you have a Harpie Lady on the field. It lets you special summon a Harpie Lady from your deck. You've got your Pendulum Call, discard a card, search out 2 pendulums, pretty basic. Then you also have your Hysteric Signs, which lets you search out Elegant Egotist from your deck or graveyard, add it to your hand. And during the end phase of this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 3 Harpie cards with different names from your deck to your hand. The downside is you cannot use the search effect for Egotist and the search effect for the 3 Harpie cards during the same turn. So it is a bit of a downside for that card. For the last of the spells, we of course have our 3 Hunting Grounds. Now, the Hunting Grounds give all winged beast type monsters a 300 attack and defense boost, and when a Harpie Lady or Harpie Lady Sisters are normal or special summoned, the player who conducted the summon gets to pop a spell or trap card. For the only 2 traps we run main board, we've got our Hysteric Parties. Now, Hysteric Parties is pretty much the Call of the Haunted for Harpies. Pretty much you discard a card and special summon as many copies of Harpie Lady from your graveyard as possible. I would like it better if it was any Harpie card, but you know, you take what you can get. For the extra deck, we've got F-Zero Utopic Future. For rank 4s, we've got Gaga Cowboy, detach, ping for 800. We've got your Degusto Emerald, pretty good for shuffling Harpies in your graveyard back into your deck and then drawing cards. We've got one Chidori. I was running 2, but for this format, I felt 1 was more than enough, especially since I need a room for the F-Zero. And of course, you also have your Heartland Draco, which can't be attacked if you control a spell card, and you can attack your opponent directly just by detaching material. The downside is if you use the effect to attack directly, Draco's the only one that can attack. Next, we've got Ice Beast Zero Fine. Pretty simple, requires 2 Winged Beasts, or 2 level 4 Winged Beasts, and you attach a material to negate the all card effects on your opponent's side of the field, as long as they're already face up anyway. And then it gains a big ol' attack boost for each card on the field. Further, we have our 2 Phantasmal Dragons. Phantasmal Dragon is kind of a go-to in this deck because not only does it stop your opponent from targeting any Harpie monster for attacks, but it can attack your opponent directly as well. The only downside is during each end phase you have to detach a material from it, and it only gains its effects while it has material attached. Next up, we have Honor Arc. And for the last rank 4, we've got Trapeze Magician. This card is really good in this deck because if you only have 1 material left on your dragon, your opponent thinks they're about to take out your dragon on their next turn, you can drop Trapeze Magician and give your dragon a second attack and go for game. For rank 7s, we've got a number 11 Big Eye, which is pretty much a Snatch Steal on legs. Got your standard Draco Sack, which lets you pop cards. And of course, 2 Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragons. This card is a bitch to get around because it can't be destroyed by card effects, and every time your opponent activates a card or effect, it deals 500 damage to them. And of course, we've got Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon, which is pretty much just the rank 7 of number 39 Utopia. The only difference is when this card is destroyed, you get to special summon an Odd Eyes monster. For the side deck is pretty trap heavy, but we do run the standard Regeki and 2 Dark Holes, which is pretty much standard in a lot of my decks, as you've noticed. Then, of course, we've got your Mind Crushes. Mind Crush, I find, is really helpful, especially if I go first and I open with it against Masked Heroes, which is a major problem for this deck. But Mind Crush is really a good card to go for any deck. Next, of course, we have your Iron Walls, which stops your cards from getting banished, again, for Masked Heroes. It also works really great against stuff like Infernoids, which require banishing and things like that. Then we've got 2 Light Imprisoning Mirrors and 2 Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors. These are in here because of Blue Eyes and Dark Magician. So that's what those are for. Then of course we've got Vanity's Emptiness and Solemn Warning, another couple of staple cards for side decks. Well, anyway, that was my Harpie Pendulum deck. Let me know what you think about it in the box below. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And until next time, this is Harpie Hunter 89 signing off.